Hello everyone, I'm B from Our Dream Our Purpose, and today we're actually going to do some aluminum pouring. I'm going to cast it in sand. I'm actually going to try it two different ways, and the reason being just to have a future project that it's going to be a lot of pouring, and it takes a little bit of time to do the sand mold, so I'm going to try something a little different, see if we can speed it up. Might work, might not, we'll try it. What we're going to shoot for though, the final product is going to be B&T. That's Our Dream, Our Purpose. And you'll actually see, we'll actually box it in as well, put a little plaque type thing so you can put it on the wall, but it'll be aluminum. These are just some little tin pieces that we got from Hobby Lobby or something like that. My wife gets things and I tend to take them and then try them back here. So the one thing I talked about doing a little differently, normally I would use this, right? I would put it in here, sand cast it, put it on here, flip it over, put sand on both sides. So one thing I found is some of the things I'm pouring aren't solid. So the back of these are hollow. So what I was trying to do is, the first one wouldn't be a problem because this would be down on the surface and I'd build the sand around it. The next one I'd actually have to do by itself and then set it on top, which isn't bad, can do it, and we might have to do it that way. But what I'm going to try is, I made this box, and my plan is to actually put the letter in like that, sand cast it around it, okay? Flip it over. When I take it out, I'll actually have this piece here will be, I'll put on top of it. I'll take the letter out, I'll put this on top. The reason being is I'm going to actually try to drill holes in here. Use this for the top piece. Now I do know this will burn. I do know that. I actually have some graphite spray that I used on cast iron molds. I'm going to spray it on here. I don't think it'll prevent it from burning, but I'm going to try it. But I do know it'll burn. That's okay. Drill the holes. We'll try it. Just see if it works. Because if it does, then I can do a lot more that way. Because the back of it's going to get cleaned up anyways. Now, I have a future project as mentioned. This is a part of it. I'm going to try with this first. If this works, then we'll try with these. And this top will be, it's designed to be replaceable. I've got a few more up here. I cut the same size. I have this wood I get. It's a real thin wood I get for nothing, so I can make 100 of them. Because the difference is I would use metal, but the holes will be different wherever you put them in at. So that's the reason for it. But you'll see us try this first. We'll actually make this piece. I'll actually drill the holes. When I flip it over and take it out, I'll be able to see where to put the holes. I'll drill the holes, and then we'll try it. Now my concern is when I pour it, I over pour, the aluminum comes out the holes. If it's too big, then I can't get the wood off. So I am going to try to have a little scraper. I'm going to try to, after I pour it, scrape that off so we don't have that, but we'll see. That is a concern. But again, this first one's a trial. If this doesn't work, then we'll go back with the standard way and the way we've always done it. We'll give it the shot that way. But either way, you're going to see which one works and which one doesn't. So we'll give it a try. All right. Again, I'll be starting off with this piece first. This I'm going to take off. So this will go on second. This piece stays with this box. These are smaller screws here, so I can get it off easier, replace it easier. Okay, not bad this time. Tried this a couple times and I'm struggling. I know what it is now. It's a wood piece that we're trying to mold, and the wood grains on it is actually just trying to grab the sand and take it. So it's not leaving me a great mold, but it's good enough to allow me to test what I was wanting to test out. Okay, so what I was wanting to test out is, and it didn't leave that good of an impression this time, is if I have this on, can I drill holes and pour aluminum through there? What I want to do with those, I think will work a lot better, because those are metal, it should not stick, so it should work better. But this here, I think it'll work for us to trial and see how it does. If it works, then we'll do. So I was hoping for was we'd actually have a mark on here. We don't, so I'm going to drill it. But I'm trying to look at where I want it. So I want one 3.5 by 4. So if I go 4. On one is a pour hole. So I'm gonna leave that hole that size so I don't get a lot pour out of it. But we're gonna drill the pour hole bigger. Obviously I can't pour that small. And again, these pieces that I'm gonna be doing, the B and the T, I don't need to worry about the backing of it. I'll be sanding it, it'll be up against something. This I will, so we'll see how this pours. Can it be cleaned up? And again, see how it does. I don't know. This is something we're trying. I like to try different things, see what'll work. I definitely think this would be quicker. If I can get it to work. All right, so we've got this made up. We're gonna try this first. We'll pour it, we'll see how it does. If it turns out okay, then we'll try working with those pieces in here. If not, then we'll try it in here. So give me a minute, we'll get everything together for the forge and we'll start that. See how it does. So one thing we knew would happen was this would burn. What I didn't realize is the hole is just real small trying to pour into it. So it actually sat on top of the wood. Water on that. But the bigger thing is, let's get that top plate off. See how it turns out. We got burning on both sides. I definitely anticipated this side. I didn't expect the other side. But let's see how it turns out. Put it in water, let it cool off. Look at this piece here, and we want to try it, see what it would do. It does, we can do it. It does come off. I think something, and we'll clean this up easy. I think something maybe we try one of the letters and see how it does. I don't want to do a lot. A lot of the sand fell in. Again, I believe it's because this was a wood, plywood piece. It wasn't smooth on the inside, so the sand was catching on it. Let's let this air out a little bit, and then we'll try one of the letters, and then give it a shot. All right, so I actually put this together off screen. Struggling to, not this concept. What I'm really trying to prove out is, will this work with just one layer of sand, the top just being a leveler type of a thing. So, but what I'm trying to do is very fine curves in here. And even I tried the letter B, and it had the holes in there where the sand was wanting to come up. So I got opportunities there. I did an anchor in the past, which turned out really detailed, but there was a hole at the top of the anchor, which I didn't think twice about it because there's a perfect hole, I could drill it out. With the letters, I just couldn't. So I want to do B and symbol T. I'm going to try in here as a T. We'll see how it turns out, but the B and the and is going to be even harder. Not working for what I'm trying to do and just sand casting it. So definitely opportunities to learn there, but the concept I'm trying to figure out here, I think will work. Again, I'm molded, I have this casted, so we'll see how it turns out. Let's see. This is cooled by itself. I put it here just in case I have some, I will get an actual bigger bars. I like the smaller one here. I'm gonna get another one. I have some in there. I put one of the overpour inside there, so I'm going to start melting it. I'll get another bar. Once I get warmed up, put it in, and then we will try and pour it and see how it does. All right. that cool down a little bit, air the place out. Air the place out, and I will show you what it looks like. All right, before we let it completely cool down, I want you to see me taking this off. Now I got you see me scraping the aluminum for two reasons. One, it was, I want to make sure it was not attached to the hole, so I could get that out easily. Two, I didn't want it to mold over top of the screws, so I couldn't get the screws out, and I want to be able to get the top out. So, now the reason I'm putting that over there is it's wood and it's hot. I'm not saying it's on fire, but it's pretty warm. We'll get this out, get this in some water. And then I will, so you see me putting this inside the desk. It's very helpful. It's just an old school desk to be able to put my tools on. What you see me putting inside, there's actually a fire brick inside. So yeah, this could be warm. It's not because it's in water, but sometimes when you see me and it's warm, I'm putting it actually on a fire brick, so we're safe there. This here, so I'll clean up you see sometimes you don't. I'm actually cleaning the burnt stuff out. I'll save that, but move it aside. Some sand you can redo with an oil. I haven't gotten into that. Some Petrobond sand. Some of the burnt, it just takes the oil out of it. You can add it back. I separate it so it's not mixing with my good stuff. And I'll keep it aside, and one of these days I will learn what the actual mixture is and what sand you can mix with. But I just mix that up so try to get some of the heat out. All right, so we'll let everything clear out. We'll let that cool down. I'll actually move some of this stuff out of the way, bring the table back, and actually show you kind of what we tried. Again, this is trial and error, what works, what doesn't work, and we'll go from there. All right. Thank you. All right, we're back. We let everything cool off. Now I kind of want to show you what it is. The one thing you'll learn about Our Dream, Our Purpose is we try a lot of different things, and really the channel is not just to put out everything that works, but it's also when things don't work as well, we'll talk about it. It's a learning experience for us, and we're here to help you guys as well. So my plan was, instead of using a box like this, and really the main purpose of the box is so I can put the item in there, pack the sand down on it, pack another layer of sand in the other side on the top, put holes in. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, but what I found was some of the back of them are not perfect. You can see here it's hollow, so if I just flip it over, sand's gonna get in there. It doesn't work. So what I've done in the past, played around a little bit, is fill one by itself, put the holes in and go. I can do that as well. That's not a problem, but I thought, could I do it easier? So I wanted to go with the single box here, single layer, just using kind of plywood, and using plywood for the top to pour into it. Now, a couple things I worried about. I worried about the board itself, the wood itself catching on fire. Not because I didn't want the wood, just what was it going to do to the aluminum pour that I'm doing itself. This was the first one, and it definitely burnt the wood. The heat from the aluminum just burned into it completely. Now, I won't reuse that. That's obvious. And I know that. I planned for that. But what I also learned, which didn't have anything to do with this smaller box, to be honest, it was me working with sand. So this was my first using this. And this is a plywood. You can see the different layers there. it's not perfectly smooth, so you can feel the grooves in it. So when I was trying to pull it out of the sand, it actually was grabbing the sand, breaking off. And this in here in particular, the small area here, would not keep the sand in there. So I had struggled with that. In the past, I molded this here. This worked out great. What I didn't think about was this up here didn't work out perfect, but it's not a big deal. It's a perfect circle, so I just drilled it out. Now, I could do that for this here, but just something I learned, but really grabbing was difficult. This is what it made, and the reason it's so in rough shape is I wanted to get a pour to see if this would work, but the sand had fell out of it, and when it fell down, then it wasn't going to pour. It was going to leave it a rough surface like this, but I still wanted to try it. You can see what I was trying to look at, what I was concerned about was the board's really thin. So if the aluminum came out the top and was too thick, then it couldn't pull through there, it'd be stuck to the plywood. But what I had learned was I had a scraper and just scraped it off. And when I did that, it actually left to where it's just a little bit on both. And here's a small one too. I was worried it was going to be too small, but it wasn't. So both of those, the other thing what it did too is the heat from these actually kind of burnt the hole in the wood bigger. So this came off real easy. This was not a problem coming out of the wood itself. Again, this is not something that I would say was a good pour at all, but I learned from it. I learned I'm struggling with these smaller pieces in the areas there. And that's something I have to learn. If I can't do those, why am I trying? When it came down to this here, what you didn't see is me trying to mold this one in the smaller one. I did this and the center of the bees stuck. Now, the first time I did it, I forgot to use powder. I'm like, that's why. Let me redo it. Not a problem. When I redid it, put plenty of powder in there, it just was again stuck. It was tough. The sand was sticking. So I knew if I couldn't get that to work, this was not going to happen at all. But I was able to give the Tia a little bit of a chance. I wanted to work with that one. That one turned out a little bit better. Here it was. I can clean this up. Again, the back, I actually put 3, so I wanted to make sure it poured evenly. But they're real small. Those can cut off real easy. And I can clean this up real easy. So I was very impressed with this and how the wood worked. So again, it wasn't, I was trying to pour something, but it wasn't, hey, what perfect mold can I get? It was, would this work for what I was wanting to do? And it will. Now, do I need to get better at pouring? Yeah, 100%. Overflow a little bit. But it turned out nice. Again, you can see the wood here. The holes were burnt. This was burnt. This was pushed down on top of it, and it just burned into it because of the temperature of that. But I knew that going on. Also, the overpours. If I flip the wood around, you can see the overpours went over. I had to scrape that and make sure it wasn't covering the screw holes or the pinholes, so it didn't be a part of that. But overall, these pours aren't perfect, okay? And I'm learning what works with sand, what doesn't work with sand. But I will say the smaller box with the plywood top, and again, I have an abundance of plywood, of this size plywood, so I can do that. If you don't have it, I wouldn't be purchasing it and going from there. This works just fine. It's just a little bit more work. It's using a little bit more sand. Now, I could make the box smaller, but still, even if it's smaller, you got 2 layers. So it's half the sand. If these are the exact same size box, it's a half the sand. So I was just trying it. So again, go out and try things. Don't do anything that's gonna hurt you. I talked about how my tools are set up and try not to get anything too hot close to me. Thank you guys for watching. We'll continue to do this. Hopefully my next video or so, you'll actually see me tearing some things down. That's one thing I don't show a lot of. I use bars. You see me make these bars. And the reason I make the smaller bars, I have a lot of the larger ones. The reason that you see me make the smaller ones is so I can actually remelt them at kind of the quantity I want. I always will have extra because I never want to underestimate. I always want to have enough aluminum to pour, or anything that I'm pouring. But what I don't show is where I got the aluminum from, or copper, or anything like that. So next video or so, or maybe a video before this one, we'll see how it goes. Actually going to tear some things apart so you can see where I'm getting it from and go from there. All right. Thank you guys very much for watching. Our Dream, Our Purpose. Please subscribe, hit the notification, like, comment. If you got any ideas? If anybody's able to make a sand cast of something like that, or even something like this with the detail with the holes go through, please let me know. Comment on it. Let me know how you do. I've just struggled with it. And again, I haven't done it as much, so I'm learning. I'm trying to grow, but we'll go from there. All right. Thank you guys very much for watching. Talk to you later.